Hi, I'm Carica, and I'm doing my self-assessment for 4.1 and 4.2 for this ethics class. And the 4.1 assessment was on mindful attention awareness scale. So I was pleased to see that I scored slightly above average with a median score of 4.73, and the average was approximately 3.86. But it was really interesting to see how some questions were so obvious to me, like, of course I don't snack without being aware of what I'm eating, or I don't drive places on autopilot, and I don't carelessly break things by not paying attention or thinking of something else. And I do tend to notice the physical tension or discomfort right away. So it seemed like there was this theme of anything that is physically involving my body or I'm having to physically do something, I'm very self-aware of. But then there were some scores, like walking quickly to get where I'm going without paying attention of what I experienced along the way. So maybe I'm not always paying attention to what's going on outside of me. I'm paying attention to just me and what immediately has to do with me. Or another one that I scored rather low on was forgetting a person's name after I've been told the first time. So if I'm too engrossed in kind of the broader picture of the conversation, I just forget some of the details. And so that was really good for me to see that I can sometimes be preoccupied with the immediacy of what I'm doing currently and not really pick up on all of the details or even the small things that are going on around me sometimes. So as I kind of assess that and take that in, something that I would like to do in response to that is slow down a little bit and start picking out one or two things that I notice and then appreciating them. And so my mom is actually really good at this. Sometimes she'll randomly send me texts, which sometimes are annoying, but that ask like, what are you thankful for right now? And so I think that it would be a good activity for me to just pause and see life from my kids' point of views, how they just see those smaller things that are going on around them and not so much always what they're doing, and just be thankful for what I'm noticing outside of myself or from my surroundings. So that was assessment 4.1. Assessment 4.2 was about listening style profiles. And so I took this assessment 2 times actually, 2 different days, just to see if my answers would change, and they didn't really change much. So I scored high with a score of 14 on people-oriented listener and content-oriented listener, but I scored very low with a score of 8 on both action-oriented and time-oriented. And so I asked 2 of my best friends actually today, they were over while we were packing, and I asked them if they thought that this was also true of me, and they said yes, that they definitely feel that's an accurate representation of who I am. They're like, time-oriented, when you're really, really in a rush, you'll let us know like, hey, I don't have that long, but then even that you don't stick to. And I'm known for being 10 or 15 minutes late to something because it matters to me what I'm doing in the moment with someone, and it doesn't so much matter if the next thing has to get pushed back, because I feel so confident that even if that involves another person, they're going to feel appreciated by me in the moment, and it won't feel like I don't have time for them. So I think that's something that I need to be more aware of. And then as far as action oriented goes, I don't think I so much am impatient or jump ahead and try to finish thoughts, or like try to pick apart things that people say in order to kind of get to the resolution of that. I think I'm more so that than I am. I do that more often than I would like to do, but I scored so low on that because I think that I am sometimes caught up from the time commitment that I have, that I sometimes rush. And so if I don't give myself enough time, like the first thing, to have a full conversation or to be fully present, then that shows in kind of the action of like, I'll hustle to be like, okay, but what do you need from me? Or where's this going? And so I see that happening sometimes with my kids when I feel frazzled, and I see that happening sometimes in the workplace with people that I'm more comfortable with, where I know that they know that I care about them, and I'm not worried about that. Or with my husband, where I'm like, okay, but can you just get to the point, and tell me what I need to do? So those are two things that I need to work on. And then people-oriented and content-oriented, I was pleased and agreed with the assessment that I do think I naturally want to make people feel like they're seen and heard. And so when they're in front of me, I'm fully focused, or mostly fully focused on them, how they're feeling, what they're needing from me in that moment, and then also what they're saying and what they're not saying, but they are saying with their body language, or what they wish that they were saying. And so that content and people-oriented are two of my strengths, but action and time-oriented I really need to work on. So one of the things that I've done for time-oriented is my husband got me an Apple Watch a couple years ago, and I haven't been wearing it now since I haven't had a job, but it was very helpful because I would put in my calendar my order of events, and then it would kind of buzz silently, but I could feel it 10 minutes before I needed to get to my next meeting, which allowed me time to sort of wrap up without ever having to look at my watch or make them feel like I was being impatient with them. And so that was a really helpful tool for me. And as far as action-oriented goes, I think that sometimes I need to think before I walk into a meeting of like, how am I feeling? Do I feel tense or stressed out, or like there's too much on my plate to get done? Because if that's the case, then I'm going to be more apt to hustle other people up and try to make them get to the point. And if I'm relaxed and I'm feeling good, then maybe that's something that I don't have to worry about. So those were my takeaways from self-assessment 4.1 and 4.2. Thanks so much for listening.